Hey everybody, Rob from Karma Comment Chameleon coming at you with another entitled parent story. Our attempt to rehabilitate an entitled kid. Let's jump right in. Thank you, everybody who hit that subscribe button in the last 3 months. 50,000 subscribers in 3 months. That is amazing growth. Thank you so much to every one of you. Without you, this never would have happened. For as long as I can remember, my aunt has been the most entitled person I have ever met. That is, until she had her daughter. Since entitled aunt has had her kids, she's sweetened up a bit and is much more sincere in caring for others and far less entitled than she was. However, old habits die hard, and her ugly past has a habit of popping back up every now and then. You'll know what I mean in a bit. When my aunt would babysit me and my siblings when we were younger, she would always hide food and keep certain things away from us, claiming, "That's entitled kids' food, you're not allowed to have that." Every day for years we would split 2 ramen packs between the 4 of us, while entitled kids would have whatever they wanted as much as they wanted. Whenever they made a mess, my siblings and I were expected to pick up after them. If they broke or misplaced something, we were made responsible for not preventing it, and she would spank us daily and threaten even more punishment if we told our mom. Eventually, we told her anyway, but our mother was a single mom working full-time, and our aunt was her only option, so we had to stay. Now that I'm older, I understand she didn't have much of a choice. When my mom moved us to Texas when I was 8, entitled aunt was forced to manage their horrid behavior by herself. Over the years, entitled boy's behavior improved a bit more, but not by any positive means. Anytime entitled aunt asked entitled girl to do something, entitled girl would just tell her brother to do it, and entitled aunt would just let her do it. Suddenly, entitled boy became the errand boy for both of them. Now, I'm no child psychologist, so I may be wrong, but the only father figure entitled boy has is his uncle, who's pretty bitter towards everyone and everything. So after years of being bossed around and mocked by all of the prominent women in his life, he's grown bitter towards adults in general, but especially towards women. Entitled girl has never, and I mean never, been expected to do anything for herself, and she's known to be very vindictive. A few years ago, my aunt had been tormented for months because someone had been carving obscenities into her car and knocking on her windows at night. Entitled boy had tried to tell us that his sister was the one doing it, but at the time, none of us believed him. At one point, entitled girl came in crying and terrified, holding a note that said "Time to kill" that she claimed she found under the door. When we asked the apartment security guard, he said he saw entitled girl do it. Not too long after, entitled aunt walked outside and actually caught her in the act of carving into the side of her van. My aunt had to pay hundreds of dollars to get the car repainted. I don't know if entitled girl got any kind of punishment. If so, we never heard about it. Flash forward many years later. I'm older now, so I don't hold much of that against my aunt, and we've built a pretty strong relationship. Unfortunately, she has some pretty severe health issues and now relies on walkers to get around. Entitled boy now refuses to clean up any mess that he doesn't make himself, and is extremely bitter to strangers and to his mom and sister. To me and the rest of his family, his behavior is pretty mild. A few months ago, me and my mom drove up from Texas to Oklahoma to visit my brother and our aunt. While I was at my brother's house, my mom was checking up on entitled aunt since she had just gotten out of the hospital. About an hour later, mom came over and told me and my sister-in-law to get in the car, and she looked pissed. When we got in, I saw hundreds of dollars worth of food, cups and plates, cleaning supplies, etc. When we got to entitled aunt's house, it was revolting. The litter box obviously hadn't been cleaned in weeks. The kitchen was infested with roaches and flies from all of the food packaging and leftovers that entitled girl left out. How do I know it was her? Entitled boy cleans up after himself really well. In fact, his living space was spotless, and he hates the smell of rotten food. The only thing he hates more is cleaning up after other people, which is why he left it there. Entitled aunt's condition sometimes causes her to, use the restroom on herself, which is what happened right before mom got there. When Mom had walked in, Entitled Aunt was crying and begging Entitled Girl to help her, but Entitled Girl was grossed out and just left her there. Entitled Boy wasn't home then. Mom was furious. She told Entitled Girl that if she cleaned the kitchen, she wouldn't empty out her room. She immediately went to the store and bought the items and picked us up. When we got back, Entitled Girl hadn't even attempted to clean it. She honestly thought my mom wouldn't do anything. Boy, was she wrong. Mom pushed Entitled Girl into the kitchen and gave her a second chance to clean it, and gave her an hour to clean the kitchen while Mom started on the rest of the house. After an hour, the only progress made in the kitchen was what my sister-in-law had done. Entitled Girl outright refused to do anything and threw a fit on the ground, screaming and crying and throwing things onto the ground. My mom went into her room and started throwing her belongings into bags and left behind only 7 outfits and a Bible. When Mom's put a stuffed pig, creatively named Mrs. Piggy, into a trash bag, Entitled Girl screamed, "No, don't take it! It's not just a stuffed animal, it's a part of me!" Mom put it away anyway. Entitled Girl actually thought she still had control of the situation and said, "Well, since I don't have any clean clothes, I guess I can't go to school tomorrow." Yes, you can. It's not our fault that you didn't do your laundry. You can do it tonight. Don't you know that your mother is sick? She can't clean up after you anymore. You two are perfectly capable of cleaning up after yourselves. There's no excuse for you two to be living in squalor like this. Still trying to maintain control. I know, I just don't care. We told her that we were throwing it all away, but we were really just putting it into my sister-in-law's garage. We made a plan with Entitled Aunt that Entitled Girl could earn back 1 bag at a time by doing chores and keeping to her school. Entitled Aunt agreed, but once she saw how upset Entitled Girl was, she just went silent and let us do our thing. She couldn't help much due to her condition. The next day, me and Mom were getting ready to go home. Entitled Aunt brought the kids over to say goodbye to us, and Entitled Girl was acting suspiciously smug and smiley despite losing all of her precious belongings. After we all said our goodbyes, me and my mom went to go visit another one of my uncles before we began our drive back to Texas. My sister-in-law texted me saying that Entitled Aunt was back and asking for Entitled Girl's clothes. Me and Mom drove back to my brother's house, and Entitled Aunt was there with the kids. She told Entitled Girl to go into the garage and get her clothes. Entitled Girl immediately walked into the garage and grabbed a few bags full of junk, not clothes, and my mom blew up. She ran to Entitled Girl and grabbed the bags out of Entitled Girl's hands, which pulled her forward, and she fell to the ground screaming bloody murder and accusing my mother of assault. Entitled Aunt screamed at my mother saying, "Don't you put your hands on her! I've never hit your kids like that!" Remember what I said earlier? Yeah, obvious lie. One that really stuck out was her slapping the shit out of my sister and calling her a in the middle of Walmart when she was 11, but that's a story for another time. Also, Entitled Aunt could have stopped us anytime. She could have told us to put everything back and leave, but she never did. She just expected the free labor and hundreds of dollars worth of supplies, only to spit in our face when we were done. That's probably the part that bothered me the most. Anyway, Entitled Girl retrieved all of her things in 15 minutes. Sad, since it took her 4 hours to halfway clean the kitchen before giving up. After she left, my sister-in-law said that she had went through the bags and hid Mrs. Piggy in the house. Entitled Girl is under 18, and since we're limited in what we can do to get back, it's the closest we'll get to revenge. 2 months later, we haven't gotten a single call from them, which we expected, except for one thing. She hasn't tried to contact us about the stuffed animal that's supposedly a part of her. She'll screech her head off if someone touches it, so she should have contacted us by now. That most likely means that she hasn't even emptied and gone through the bags yet. Entitled Boy has been FaceTiming me secretly, and while he won't show me the house, I occasionally see big overfilled trash bags in different parts of the house. Anyway, sorry this went on for so long, but that's about it. There's a lot more, but this ended up being much longer than I wanted. I'll update if anything new happens. There seems to be a whole lot of negativity in this family. OP actually added at the end of the story an edit. It says, To clarify, entitled aunt isn't really the innocent party. I wasn't trying to make her out to be. Also, it's not like she's not trying to punish them, but it's like I said, she can't move around that well. When she hides their phones, they'll just go find it and take it back. I've actually seen entitled girl stand 4 feet away and scream obscenities at her because she knew entitled aunt couldn't do anything about it. I want to thank OP for giving me permission to narrate their story and post it up on YouTube. You can visit them at the links in the description below and give them an upvote on Reddit itself. Once again, this is Rob from Karma Comic Chameleon saying thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, I ask you to hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and share it with your friends. Again, thank you for 50,000 subscribers. We'll see you in the next one.